Yeah, all right. So in principle, the title of my talk is how to build a smart contract for smart contracts. But I want to kind of try to make the connection, of course, to the two previous talks. So the first talk I think was, I guess you could sum it up. Maybe trustless is not enough, or maybe users don't care enough about that. It needs more. And Jaron, one thing I want to quote from him was the tokens where we see most trading volume is those that are not listed yet on centralized exchanges. And that's exactly what we believe is the big advantage of a fully decentralized exchange. And some people claim it's not possible to build a fully decentralized exchange, and I will make the claim that we are very, very close to that. And that would actually mean the big advantage we see is actually this thing, permissionless innovation. So if the exchange is fully decentralized, then that means there is no operator, no one has any special role or right in that, and that automatically, almost by definition, means you don't have to ask anyone to list a token. And that's a huge thing, because there are plenty of tokens that, well, could be listed, and it's totally fine and legal to list them, but the cost of an exchange to make this decision, whether they can list a token, are not insignificant, because they have to, well, look at it, evaluate it. We all know the story about this legal opinion that costs $50,000 to $100,000 or whatever. So there is, in our view, a long tail of token, or actually it will also still come, that will not be served, well, that simply cannot be served if you first require a legal opinion for $50,000 to start the game, basically. And that might be weird stuff. That might be like tokens for token-curated registries, for DAOs, for curation markets, whatever. We don't know, but we want to. We really see the advantage in building this fully decentralized thing as an infrastructure component, where, innovation can flourish. So we really thought about radically from the beginning, what does it take to design a system that's completely decentralized? And we ended up with a system that's quite different from what we are used. And well, there are quite a bit of trade-offs, and you will see it later. There are big trade-offs, but at least we started from the other way around. So we said we start with this thing here, similar to a normal exchange, and try to decentralize it over time. We start fully decentralized and try to then make it more usable. So the other perspective I was planning this or preparing this talk to was, what does it require if your customer is a smart contract? So how do you need to build a decentralized exchange for a smart contract? Why? Well, smart contract systems have, of course, the need to convert tokens. Let's say there's a smart contract system, it takes fees in different tokens, and it eventually wants to convert them to another token, or all those DeFi collateralized lending things. They have collateral and at some point might need to liquidate it, whatever. Different reasons why they would need it. What are the specific requirements for smart contracts? They're definitely different users as a normal user. So they, for example, can't sign a message. So it's almost the common approach, or the one big common approach is like off-chain orders. So smart contract can't sign a message. A smart contract cannot really have a strategy or kind of decide, or actually it needs to be very simple for the smart contract. And finally, smart contract cannot, or only under very specific conditions, can update. So the contract that's the user, the smart contract as a user wants to interact with, needs to be ultra reliable, and ideally kind of even in 50 years still around, or at least for the lifetime of the smart contract. I will skip over this. I think we have heard like the problems with bringing kind of the traditional model to the blockchain. I think there will be also talks after me. And well, to directly jump to what we believe is, well, some compromise, or something that is that works in this fully decentralized setting. So we are using auctions. and more specifically a Dutch auction, a batched Dutch auction. So if a user, and that user can be a smart contract or someone else, wants to convert tokens, the first thing we do is we batch a bunch of users together. So for a period before the auction starts, there's, well, the previous auction, while 6 hours is the auction. During this time, kind of liquidity is just like collected and all batched together. And at some point, an auction starts, and let's say, yeah, it's Melon tokens that are trying to be sold. So the converted, let's say, to Ether. Well, then it will start, the mechanism will start trying to sell those Melon tokens at a high price, and high in our system is defined as double the previous price, so roughly double the market price, and the price will continuously fall down over time, and it's very slow. And there are, well, reasons why that's the case, but roughly after 6 hours it will hit the previous price, so kind of that's roughly when we accept the thing to clear. And it would actually go all the way down. After 24 hours, it would hit 0. So at that time, it should definitely be someone who buys at, well, close to 0. As a bidder, you can basically, as soon as you have a price where you're comfortable with this price, you can make a bid and well, increase the bidding volume. So you have your selling volume, the bidding volume, increase the bidding volume. And if there is enough bidding volume that at the current price, and all bids will be like eventually executed at the final last price. If the final price is low enough and the bidding volume is high enough to clear the auction is cleared. And every bidder, or basically everyone in the system, then gets the same price. Well, lucky I have Touch ID, otherwise I would be lost typing in the password every time again. So yeah, I'm skipping over this. So yeah, you have the deposit period, the auction period, and actually, well, then you have many auctions. And in our system, you have always 2 auctions starting at the same time. One, in the example Melon Ether, there's one auction selling Melon for Ether, and in another auction selling Ether for Melon, or ABBA. So the advantages are, or I mean, the obvious disadvantage is it's slow. I mean, there's no question about it. Very slow. The advantages are, yeah, it is not affected by front running. It is a price discovery mechanism, and it specifically is meant for tokens that, or yeah, again, this long tail. So if you have tokens where only like 5 or 10 people traded a day, it does not necessarily make sense to have a kind of second by second, trying to pretend there would be a second by second price discovery. So like discovering price every 6 hours for some assets might be just the right speed. One thing I want to mention is the gas cost, or what a market maker needs to do. So Jaron, for example, described how they market make for 40 tokens, and it costs kind of so and so much, and they optimized it already quite a bit to reduce that gas cost, to update the prices. But there's still a cost, and if you would need to do that for 1,000 tokens, 10,000 tokens, it would not be insignificant, like updating the costs regularly. Here in this system, the good thing is a market maker only needs to act, or again, like in other systems, the market maker needs to act upfront, kind of offer something, then the user comes and sees what the best offer is. If there is not enough offered, well, user goes away and has a bad experience. In this system, the market maker only needs to react when the user already committed. So the user put in the money, market maker sees price falling, and then they only need to react. So their costs are much lower with well, very little transactions. The user can get a decent price. Right, so tailored to integrate with other smart contracts. We have also a built-in token mechanism that also incentivizes liquidity. Now, asking about the question, are we fully decentralized yet? So all all decentralized exchanges, everything that calls itself a DEX is usually non-custodial. That's clear. Some have the matching mechanism also on chain, and some haven't. So that's already kind of the first separation where, yeah, kind of the one is a non-custodial centralized exchange. The other one has also the on-chain matching mechanism. So we have that. We also went a step further and have at least one interface on IPFS ENS. If you are a MetaMask user, you can right now go to slow-trade.eth and you will like load the interface from IPFS for that. For this protocol, trading protocol. But ideally, we will have more. But there is one last piece missing, and that is governance. And I will that will be the second part. So here's just the interface, how it looks. You just have to also shapeshift like. Note that is an interface only for what we call the seller, who kind of commits into the auction. Right now, bidding during the auction, an interface will come soon, but right now it's only done via bots and command line. So yeah, now coming to the last piece, upgrades and maintenance. So specifically under the question, how do we build a decentralized exchange for a smart contract? One strategy, or first, I mean, why would we want to upgrade? Well, we want to change some parameters. We want to make it more efficient. There are a bunch of reasons why we would want to upgrade. So one upgrade strategy is to say, well, we just deploy a new version, and every user should now use the new version, and they kind of can opt in. The issue with that is a smart contract can hardly do that. And you basically split up liquidity. So the whole point of this is you pool liquidity that gives you, well, better prices. It also makes it a reliable price feed, but just as a side note. So roughly, we are starting a DAO that should solve that issue. I will very quickly go over it. I have only 2 minutes left. Definitely ask me more questions if you are interested. So it is a DAO, it's kind of a true DAO, so there are no additional points of centralization, so no like curators, committees, whatever, so it's pure on-chain DAO. Ideally, we will get 1,000, 10,000 people to participate, and the aim is at least to be more than a DAO for the DEX, so it will start with the DEX, but we try to be kind of a neutral, to create a neutral force for the wider ecosystem. I think I have to skip that. We are using DAO Stack. I think they have figured out these problems with DAOs and governance, scalability versus resilience. How many decisions can you make in what time versus how easy do you make it for someone to make a bad decision? I think they have figured that out pretty well. They are using prediction markets. Maybe that's why we have been kind of attracted to them. What things the DAO can do is, well, obviously govern the contract, so update the contract, host a new, or like control the ENS domain with basically like host the DApp or host the website. But it can also do like do like social media campaigns. We have now this ppelmann, so it could like really, I mean, do much more. So it could actually like govern, maintain, and drive this DEX protocol forward. We want to give full the full power to users. So this is the distribution of how this DAO will start, and there's no piece here where it says Gnosis or something Gnosis related. So 50% of the voting power, that's called reputation in the DAO stack system, 50% will be given to traders. So starting on February 18th in 11 days, from that moment on, for 30 days, every trade will like earn you a token depending on the volume, and 50% of the reputation will be given to those. And then there are just things to even make the participation wider. Again, we are aiming for 1,000, at least 1,000, ideally 10,000 people. So just stuff like locking down some Ether or locking down some ERC20 tokens. Just have to specify a time, how long they are locked, you get it back. But that alone is enough to participate. So I'm over time. Here's the timeline starting April 1st. Here are more resources. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry that I had to